And today I'm here to talk about our American Quilters Stitch Along. We are super excited to get this thing started, but unfortunately we have to all kind of wait for our fat quarter towers. And I know that is so depressing that they're not here yet, but I promise we're going to wait for you. Today we're just going to do a little bit of prep work for it, and I can in-depth explain how to starch. So when you do get your fat quarter tower, you're ready to go. So just a little bit, I have been up since 1:20 last night. I am super tired. I'm doing hot flashing all over the place. So just kind of put up with me. If I look a little tired, I am. And then I tweaked my little neck here this morning. So I have like a little patch on my neck. So if I feel a little stiff, that's the other reason. So I'm kind of a hot mess right now, but we'll get through this and we'll have a good time doing it. All right, so just so you know, we are everybody is waiting for the fat quarter towers and any of the pre-cuts for American gatherings. However, we do have the bolts in the store, and some people are starching and getting ready because they bought maybe a half yard bundle that we had to cut ourselves. So kind of keep that in mind that they don't, they got fabric a different way than you did. We did not get these towers in yet. This is one from when they first send us our designer fabric. This is from that lot, and some of the shop owners are privy to get order ahead fat quarter towers, and that's what you might be seeing, some of them working on their fat quarter towers. But the majority of them are coming yet. So we'll all be waiting together. No worries. So one of the things I want to talk about, if you haven't done so, go to my blog, lisabonjean.com, and on January 16th, there's a blog post there that will give you kind of what I'm going to talk about today. A little 2 sheets here to print off so you can get ready. And then there's a binder cover for your little binder as well. And this will hold all your patterns when they come in. So do you see how I have this here? And then we'll have block 1 like so. Okay. And I do have the quilt here with me, and I'll give you a little bit more of a sneak peek. I think I only showed you 1 block before. So here is the light version, and kind of keep in mind that I am going to do 4 different quilts with this. So I already have this one with the anchor fabric. This is all the anchor fabric I have left in the world. So I pieced and parted it out to make this quilt. And then I do have one that I did with all the same flag block star that's in the book. Kaylee, what did I do with the book?
It's the cover.
Yeah. I said it somewhere, probably by my desk. It's the American Gatherings book. This whole quilt is in there, but it's only 1 star block. So yeah, it's probably under here somewhere. I don't know where it is. That's how it is. No big deal. We'll figure it out. But that one has the nice navy blue sashing and borders on it. So we are also going to do a grunge version with this cool star pattern here. And I'm going to starch this yardage for you today so you can see how I starch yardage. So that is the 4-yard cut. And in the directions, I talk about doing 4 yards or 6 yards. Now, 4 yards is plenty to do the whole quilt. But maybe you want to do some pillowcases, or maybe you want to do more than 20 blocks for a bigger quilt. Or maybe you want to add wider borders or wider sashing. So that's why I added a 6-yard option on our website if you wanted to go that route. So one of the things I also want to talk about is I'm doing this stitch along solely to raise some money for the charity to help injured vets kind of regain their life back. And it's called Hogs for Heroes. And on my blog post on January 16th, Audra talks all about Hogs for Heroes. So I invite you to go there and listen to her talk so passionately about this cause. And I can't wait for the live versions and this whole stitch along to get going. But again, we're all waiting for that fabric to come. All right, so I talked about the quilts. I gave you a little sneak peek of that. I talked about the backgrounds. Here is the fat quarter tower that we're waiting for. All right. So, and this is plenty of fabric to do what we're doing. And part of our ways to raise money is that anybody who purchased this fat quarter tower from me, and we call it a fat quarter tower or a fat quarter bundle. I know some people call them bundles. We like to call them towers, tower of fabric. I don't know. But anyways, anybody who purchased this from Primitive Gatherings, $10 went to that cause for our charity, Hogs for Heroes. So if you did not purchase from us, I'm going to be asking you for a little bit of money. So be aware of that. And I have a bank account already set up to receive money. And hopefully we can like hook a PayPal account to that so it can go right into that bank account. Or you can just send a check right to my bank and put, Primitive Gatherings, Hogs for Heroes, and they will put that right into the account they set. All right. So I do have a list so we don't forget anything. And one of the things that you're going to do as soon as you get your fabric, you are going to starch it. At least I strongly, strongly suggest starching it. And you will see why. I have some starched already, fat quarter already over there, and I'm going to have Kaylee bring them over a little bit later so you can see them. And it's kind of like stitching with soft, pliable cardboard. It's that kind of stiffness is what we're looking for. And when you're making these little blocks like this, it really, really helps with accuracy. So I'll give you a little peek at the back here as well. Here they can zoom in on that. And don't be afraid. If you have never pieced this small, I'm going to guide you through every step of the way for each block. Now, our first video, once our fabric comes, is going to be on cutting all the stars, the first star block for one, and then all of the stripes, all the lights and all the reds all at one time. And I will be able to show you how I mass cut and how it doesn't take me all day to cut out a quilt. So I'm really looking forward to showing you how I do that. All right, Kaylee, how are we doing so far?
Good.
All right. So I just got to check with make sure we're doing good. She's like, don't talk too loud now. Keep it kind of, the same. And I'm used to having 3 boys and, raising my voice when I get excited. All right, thread. So let me just talk about thread. I picked out 3 options for thread. Now to sew everything, either the cream or the gray. Now I use Aurifil. This one is 2309, and then the gray is 2606. Those are my go-to threads for light. Now I also did pick 2785. And why did I pick a gray or the navy? Because when I'm sewing this last navy to navy, I don't want to see the cream there. So if you pick a cream thread to sew these dark fabrics, I don't like seeing that in there. So I will stitch that a lot of the times with a darker thread. However, if you do shorten your stitch length or lower it to a smaller number, that will help you not see thread either. So that works too. So just kind of be aware. Some of you like to match thread with the color, and then these are the neutrals that I would pick to stitch the whole thing along. Because when you're stitching a cream and a red together, you can use a cream or you could use the gray. Either of them would work for me. All right. Now, the most important thing is when we're going to do these blocks is cutting. And you all know, you've heard me many times talk about my rulers, and I can't wait for you to watch me sling these around when I'm cutting for you. But these itty bitty 1/8 rulers are a must-have when we're cutting small measurements. Now, let me warn you ahead of time. There is one measurement in these blocks because it's set on point that is 15/16. So I'm just warning you ahead of time, but be brave and we will do it. But these rulers help you find those smaller measurements. They have dashed lines, so you can always see where the edge of your fabric is. There's no solid lines at all on these rulers. And these are Primitive Gatherings rulers and Creative Grid, so they have the awesome no slip grips on the back. So I really, really love those 3 set of rulers for what we're going to be doing in all this cutting when we do that. All right, so then this 12.5 ruler is really going to help you square up your block to 12.5 when you're done. Now it's not a square, so the width of the block is 12.5, and well, I guess that would be the length. The width is like 10 and something. I don't know that measurement right offhand, but this helps you really square up, and I really liked to use that. And most of us have a 12.5 already. And then the last ruler that I strongly suggest is the small, simple folded corner ruler. This is by Doug Lico, and this helps you cut your folded corners instead of just either drawing a line or just whizzing down the center of your piece. So if you are really, really, really picky, you might want to cut it off already. However, when I piece these blocks, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it. And I sometimes get by, like I'll try one. If I'm on a roll that day and I'm really good, I won't like use this, but sometimes it's a must if you want to be perfect and accurate. And let's just talk about being perfect. After 20 some years of piecing, I'm over the fact that every point has to be perfect. I don't rip everything out if it's not like exactly perfect. So like just to point out, like look at how this is just a smidge off. I don't care. All right. Nobody sees that but you and I when we're making these blocks. When this is all in the quilt, nobody cares. But if you have to work on your perfectionism by doing these blocks perfect, you go for it. But it doesn't bother me anymore. I can live with a little bit of imperfection. Nobody's perfect, so why should our patchwork have to be? Although I do try to get it perfect, but if it isn't, there's a lot of things I can live with. Okay, now the last thing that I want, or not the second last thing, triangle paper. Now, we don't do a lot of triangle paper because these blocks are fairly small, but if you want to use the triangle paper, I suggest the variety pack because it has all 4 sizes in it. Now you can get the ones for charms, or you can get the page one. And I didn't have the full sheet ones here with me at my studio because I have all the individual ones. So either of those are a strong suggestion. And the sheet ones, they're just a full sheet. But this charm ones would be sufficient. But if you already have the triangle paper in 1/2, 3/4, and 1 inch, you'll be good. Okay. Now the last thing is the single hole throat plate for your machine. Now what is that? What does that mean? So every machine that doesn't just sew straight, like if you have a machine that zigzags, it probably comes standard with a hole that is oblong. Now, if your machine just sews straight, it has probably a single hole throat plate. Our Dookies that we like to stitch on come only with a single hole throat plate. But if you have another machine, like I have a Bernina, and that you can purchase a single hole throat plate for it. You just got to be careful not to be doing a buttonhole or a zigzag with that single hole throat on. So just be aware that they are available through the manufacturers or on wherever you need to go to find that. I would suggest your local place that helps you service your machine. And Kaylee's going to go zoom in on that single hole throat on my machine.
Here is the single hole. Here. All right.
What should we give away?
Woo. I don't know. What do you think?
Should we just let it be a surprise?
Yeah. I'm all about surprises.
Okay, I got a good idea.
Okay.
Since I can't like give away any pre-cuts because we don't have them yet, I'm going to announce something at the end of this of a new tutorial that we're going to do, and somebody who leaves a comment on our YouTube will get a chance to win a kit for that. Okay? All right, let me know when you're ready,
We're all
Kaylee.
good.
You're all ready?
Yep.
All right, so just so you know, save these when you take them off your fat quarter bundle, because I love to make pin cushions out of them or use them for all kinds of things. So I always save all of those.
That was just the ribbon around the tower.
Yeah, that's just the ribbon I took off
Okay.
from around the tower. Now, what I'd like to do, let's just talk about the starch. Now, I'm thinking that most of the people doing this are American quilters because we're doing the American flag in a little variation. But I also know that some of my Canadian girls are making this quilt for their American friends. So I get that. So one of the things I heard is that not everybody can find the faultless starch. So if you can't find the faultless starch, just any heavy starch that you can find. And if you have to make it, then make it. But really, this is, I can't make the starch stiff enough when I make, and I don't use cornstarch. This is not made from corn. So that's why I really like to use this, because it's not going to attract any critters or anything like that, because there is no corn in this starch. So kind of keep that in mind. But whatever you have to do to get your fabric stiff, that's what you need to do. And I don't use the, the Stay Flow that kind of streaks my fabric sometimes. It still doesn't quite get it. But this right here is perfect, works great. And then I also want you to know that this little handle, it is a paint sprayer. So if you have any issues with constantly doing this motion, we can put the spray handle on, and it just goes on there like it was a spray can. Okay? All right. So what I like to do is I like to take my fabrics and I like to starch in colors. So here's like all the red creams, here's all the blue creams, the reds, and the navies. So I'm going to start with the navy. And this is exactly how I would starch, or Christine would starch. And she's been starching today. So we do have some stuff hanging already on the line or on the drying rack. But I want to point out that this is my wool pressing mat that's already on my ironing table. So this is wood covered with that ironing stuff. And then this is my wool pressing mat. And then I have an old towel over the top, because this is going to get pretty wet. And you don't want that mat to get saturated, because it'll take a little bit for that to dry. So I always like to starch on a towel. So I lay it out like that. And then make sure your nozzle is pointing out. And then what I do is just kind of make a perimeter. And I did put this fabric face down. I always like to starch from the back side, because you can really tell where you've been and where you've missed. So this is a much easier to grip, because I'm using my whole hand to grip instead of just my one finger to press down the button. And these sprayers are only like $5 at like Home Depot, or your local hardware store will have them too. So I kind of did an overall, and you got to kind of give it a minute. And I purposely kind of left some white spots so you can kind of see where this is starch that hasn't sunk in yet, but then this is starch where I missed. So you can see how you can really see where I got it nice and saturated, but then you want to make sure that the whole thing is the same color. All right, so that looks good. Now, instead of taking this and hanging it on the line, I like to make sure none of the starch goes to waste. So what I'll do is I'll stack them and keep starching them. So the starch stays in each one of the fat quarters. Again. So remember to leave us a comment and you're going to win a kit to our next tutorial. And the tutorial that we're going to do is super fun. I'm hoping to do it in between when before the fabric arrives. So early next week, I think we'll get together and shoot that. Kaylee will probably have to do some editing on it because we're not going to do it live. I don't think we are anyways. I'm going to have a partner. So Kathy Decker will be joining me. She's got a really cool, fun thing for us. All right, now I know you don't want to sit here all day and watch me starch, but I'm hoping that you get the idea of how I do that. And again, I'll just keep starching. And then, all right, so let's say it's time. Look at that. So see that? I would hit that one more time. Make sure I got that good. And there's nothing wrong with keeping a couple of them together to lay on the drying rack. Just know that if you needed to dry faster, that single would be better. But see how Christine she even folds it when she puts it on, and then when it's dry, then she will press it nice and flat. Okay? So now, while I'm getting ready and starching yardage, Kaylee, you're going to reach around and grab me those already starched fat quarters quick there. Yeah, you don't have to take the triangles. That's for something else. All right, so here we have all of the fat quarters. The girls cut me ½ yard off of all of our yardage. So I have 2 stacks of this, and you can kind of see how nice and stiff it is once it is all starched and ready to go. So before I cut, I would layer like 4 or 5 fabrics, depending on how many I have to cut total, and press everything nice and flat one more time, and then start cutting. But that's going to be another video because I don't want everybody else to get ahead of those still waiting for their fat quarter towers. I know if you already have it, you're like, oh, come on. But we have to be fair to those who don't have their fat quarter tower yet. And we're in no hurry. The world is not going to end if we don't start exactly when we thought that fabric was going to come in.
We have a question.
Okay.
What iron are you using?
Oh, yes, my favorite. So I was just at a retreat in Jacksonville, Florida, and they did not have a good iron, and it was a little hard for me. I'm gonna admit, I did have to go and find somebody who had a decent steam iron. So it really, really makes a big difference, your iron. I was a little frustrated, but we made it all work out. So I like this Rowenta steam station. Kaylee, can you zoom in on it? So see, it has a tank here, my mason jar. This removes so you can fill it. This helps hold your, like maybe your grandkids are in your room and you just want to make sure that the iron doesn't slip off. It has a little guard there that goes on and off. And this model has an on-off switch, and it doesn't shut off at all. Like it doesn't have an auto on and off, and that can be good and that can be bad. We all know that, right? So this is my favorite iron. I know that the new ones are a little bit different, but watch this. So when you press the button, it steams. And you have a tank full of water, so you can steam for a long, long time. Do you have any other questions? Are you looking?
I'm looking.
So I'm getting ready to starch yardage. So this is a 4-yard piece of the grunge. And we do have all the grunge and all of the navy in. So we're just waiting for those pre-cuts to arrive. We have everything cut for your orders, and we're just getting ready to send those out as soon as they come. Matter of fact, everything's in an envelope already, just waiting to ship out to you. So we promise as soon as those land, they're going to go out in the next day or two, depending on how many we have. So now I put this fabric face down, so I do have the back side here as well. And I'm going to grab my spray can, and I am going to, again, I kind of go down the center and I make a perimeter. And you're not going to be able to see this as nicely as you did on the navy, but we should get a pretty good idea. Kaylee's camera probably will get in here really good later on once it starts soaking in, and you can kind of see how dark it gets once it's starched. This grunge has a little bit of gray and cream in it.
Do you know the number of that?
This one, I believe, is eggshell.
Okay.
Yeah, Kaylee, right over there is the bolt if you want to run over there and look for the number. But it is under our American Quilters Stitch Along button on our website.
Show it.
All right. Yeah, so I have a whole bolt here. So 99. No, that's Bella. So 3014811, and it is eggshell. Yep.
Let me see it. You want to show me that end? There we are. Perfect.
Okay. All right, Kaylee, can you kind of zoom down here on, can you see that there's a definite half and half or not? Can you kind of tell or not?
Let's see if I can change some things here.
All right.
You can kind of see.
Yeah. So no worries, but what I want to show you with the yardage is how do you starch a 4-yard piece? Well, one of the things you can do is when you look at your pattern, you can find out how big your biggest long strip is and cut one piece that big plus an inch or two. And then you can starch 2 pieces. So that's what I do when I have, like, say I have a quilt that has like 8 yards of background in it. And yes, I do make quilts that have 8 yards of background in it. I think the last gray and white one I did had 10 or something like that. Okay, so I'm completely saturated. Now watch what I do. I just
stop there because I can see that.
Okay, so see how that is saturated?
Yep. Perfect.
All right, I'm just going to lay it up and find where my wet part is right here. So here's wet, and then here's dry. So I just keep laying it on itself. Now you do not need to get your sashing and border fabric for a while. So if you don't have this piece yet or you didn't order it, you have time to decide. So don't freak out if you don't have this one yet. I get, some people are on a budget. I once was a single mom with 3 little boys. So I get how that works sometimes. All righty. If you have any more questions, this would be a good time to get your question in.
So the fabric that you're using right now, that's a 4-yard piece?
It's a 4-yard piece.
Okay. And then is your steam station, is it the compact version or regular?
It's the regular.
Okay.
The compact version shuts off.
Okay.
If you don't use it for a while. So not a fan of that.
And
because
you want to tell them where you get the spray handle again?
So any hardware store, any place that sells spray paint will have this handle.
Okay.
All right. And then the starch, dollar stores and Walmart carry this for here I think it's like $1.19 a can. And you will go through 3 or 4 cans doing this quilt.
So 3 or 4 cans.
So see how I just threw that up there again? Oops.
And that's this size quilt, right? The 3
Yeah.
or 4 cans.
Yeah. And it's because we have a lot more fabric than what we need to. So I would say about 3 cans on a big quilt is normal. And some people are a little bit more heavier handed with starch, and I prefer to be heavier handed with the starch. And kind of be aware that when you're starching and you're near the end of a bottle, that starch doesn't seem to be as potent, or it doesn't seem to be as concentrated. It's like more air in it than when you start off with a new bottle. So sometimes when I end one, I'll kind of give it another little once over. And what's really nice is when I hang this on the drying rack, like I said, you can fold it up, but then you can really see if I missed a spot. And I will go over to the drying rack and like find where I missed. And did you notice at the drying rack that we put an old towel on the floor as well to protect that? So I'm going to give you another look here so you can kind of see where I missed. Oh no, that's the grunge. It looks like I missed, but it's not. So you can definitely see the difference there. And again, you just keep folding it up and then keep starching. So I will continue to go until I have this whole piece done. And then this one will be ready. When it's time to cut our sashings and borders. Okay, so if you have any more questions.
When is the project actually going to start?
Well, like I said, I would love to start now, but more than probably 90% of the people do not have their fat quarter tower yet. So that's when it's going to start. When I know that when Moda tells me that they've landed in their warehouse and they've started to ship it out, that's when I'll put out that first video on how to cut and that first block. Does that seem fair? I'm just trying to be fair to everybody. I don't want those who do have fabrics to get way ahead, and I don't want anybody jealous, okay? Like I said, we might do a couple of blocks to catch up so we have a quilt done by Memorial Day. We have all the whole thing done by Memorial Day. I think that would be cool. I do want to point out that we do have some cool backings at Primitive Gatherings. So if you're looking for a backing for your quilt, this is going to be one for one of my quilts. And we will pick, you could probably go on, if we still have it on the site as Yardage, you can go and pick the exact one you want. Or if you just want us to pick one for you, you can put that in the comment section as well. But I think we do have some backing options in the American Quilters Stitch Along button on our site. So
how long does it take to dry?
I would say the fat quarters probably, if they are single layered, probably take 3-4 hours to dry. Do not put them outside on the line and have the wind let them flap. You want them to be straight and stiff, no movement, because this movement will make them a little bit more pliable. If they just hang and dry naturally, the sun can help as long as there's no wind, but just let them dry, with no wind on them, and then they will be the stiffest possible.
If you're going to starch the top fabrics, do you need to starch your backing?
No, I don't starch my backing. Do not starch the back. So why are we starching? We're starching so the pieces shrink while we are building the blocks. Because if we didn't do that, the fabric would be shrinking while we're making it. And that's the reason why your 6.5-inch block comes out 6.25 instead of 6.5. So if you didn't starch before and that happened, that's what's happening, is the heat and the steam from the iron is making your block shrink. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know how people cannot quilt and press a block without steam. To me, steam is my best friend. I love steam. So just saying. All right, do we have any more?
Do you starch your pre-cuts, charms, squares, jelly rolls?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything.
Everything.
Because I don't use, if I have 5-inch charms, I don't use the 5 inches of the charm. I'm always cutting something else out of that 5 inches. So if you need that full 5 inches, don't starch, because you're going to get a little bit of shrinkage. And when you do starch, the length is what shrinks. The width does not. So like when we have jelly rolls and honey buns, they do not shrink. They are still the 1.5 or the 2.5. Just the length of them will shrink a little bit. So the fabric doesn't really shrink both ways. It kind of shrinks one way. So if you understand that, like your charm is not going to be 5 by 5, it's going to be 5 by 4 7/8, or 4 7/8 by 4 3/4 when you're done. And our charm papers that are built for the 5-inch fabrics, you see, this is a 5-inch piece of paper. We're not using the whole 5 inches. So you can use a starch charm square for these. Okay. That's a great question. Good job.
And then someone wants to know how you dry the yardage.
How I dry the yardage? Like I have more than one drying rack. So sometimes I'll like lay it over one and over to the other. It can be folded. So don't think that you have to just leave it flat out. And you can kind of go like in between the rungs, that type of thing. So Christine gets very creative in how she loads those up. But when I starch like little charm squares, like I'll starch like 6, 7 of them in a stack, and I'll just plop it over and just let it dry. I don't like separate each one. I'm very efficient with my time. So that's why I didn't like starch one fat quarter and go hang it up and come back and starch another one. I just continue to starch, and then hang a couple of them at a time. But one of the things that I really want to talk about is when I do my videos, when I tell you how I do things, it's just how I do things. It's not the right way, the wrong way, the only way. All right. So just take from me what you like. And if you do something totally different, do your own thing. People like how my stuff turns out. So they want to know how I do it. And that's what I'm truly doing, just sharing with you. I'm not telling you, you have to do it this way. Okay. You're a big girl or guy. You decide how you want to do it. I'm just giving you how I do it. I'm not holding anything back. You can ask me anything in our Stitch with Lisa group. I will be there to answer anything. Or if I'm not, if for some reason I'm not there right away, somebody will let me know. Or guess what? Those girls in that group, they answer a lot of the questions a lot of the time. So I don't even have to, because they've been hanging around me for 20 some years already. So don't be afraid to ask questions. We want you to participate. We want the Stitch with Lisa group to be fun, and we want you to share your projects. We don't want you complaining that your order didn't get there yet, or that you're waiting for your fat quarter tower. Honey, we all know you're waiting for your fat quarter tower, because we want to get this thing started just as much as you do. We're not holding them hostage at primitive gatherings. We want them out of our warehouse as fast as they come in. So just be aware of that. But I guess we had a little bit of email issues lately, that everybody was emailing and it wasn't coming through. So trust me, Jessica and the staff there want to talk to you, want to help you with your issues, and we will do everything we can to help you with whatever comes up.
Is the backing 108 inches?
The backing is not 108 inches. I do piece my backings. And just to let you know, when I do piece backings, I leave the salvages on. I don't rip them off. And I stitch about 3/4 to an inch seam. And I open that seam up and have it lay flat and give it a little starch while you're starching it, so it stays nice and flat and it doesn't come up or fold over. And I've never had any issues on making my backs with leaving that salvage on. And also lower your stitch length too when you make your backs. Don't be stitching with a 2+ stitch length. shorten that stitch length a little bit on your backing as well.
Awesome.
We good?
Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot of inquiry about the quilts behind you.
Okay, yeah. So we kind of wanted our backdrop to be red, white, and blue. And I'm hoping one of the girls is on because guess what? I can't remember everything. I have no idea what some of these quilts are. But this one right here is a single pattern. And we will put it in the group on the feed as to what it is. I have no idea. I can't remember. There's too many now. And then the middle one is our quilt kit from Moda that they put together a kit for us. And it comes with a pattern. It comes with a really cool box that Terry from Primitive Gatherings designed. And this is called Our Flag Stands for Freedom. And this kit will make 2 quilts, one big one and one mini. And again, Our Flag Stands for Freedom. Val Kruger quilted this one, and she did a fabulous job going back and forth on that one. And then the last one here, Constitution, is from the book Star and Stripe Gatherings. So we got a nice representation of the quilts from a bunch of our lines from Moda. I don't remember what the name of that one was, but American Gatherings, Old Glory Gatherings, Liberty Gatherings, Star and Stripe Gatherings, and now we have American Gatherings. So I think 5 red, white, and blue, and sometimes we had some tan in there as well in some of the previous Primitive Gatherings Americana lines. Kaylee, you want to grab that book right there behind you, the Star and Stripe one? I can't believe I don't know where I put the American one. I know I had it sitting out here.
I was looking for the red binding.
Yeah, the red binding, yeah.
It's upside down.
Okay, whoops. All right, Star and Stripe Gatherings. That is Constitution is in that one. She found it. I told you it was on my desk. So this book right here, American Gathering, is the new line coming out. Lots of quilts. Look for some of the YouTube videos on here. And we will be we're going to do a tutorial on American Outlander here coming up. This is a favorite, Pioneer, Charm, Fat Quarter. This one is Honey Buns, the 1.5-inch strips. American Zigzag, it's called. This one has a little wool on it. Here's the quilt with the blue. So this one here is the same flag done 20 times. And just a little, I just thought of something. In the American Quilters Stitch Along, I'm going to talk each block about an American quilter that has influenced me. So I'm going to pay homage to some of earlier quilters and talk a little bit about them and how they inspired me. So I picked 20 American quilters to talk about, to have some fun and not just have this whole thing be about me. All right. Any other questions, Kaylee?
Well, do you want to get a little off topic?
Sure.
They want to know how the retreat house is coming.
Oh, the retreat house is kind of at a little bit of a standstill because they are really going to town on the warehouse and store. So you see me post a little bit in the stitch from Lisa. The windows are all in, the little eyebrows, the awnings over the top of the windows, all went up in one day. It was super cool. And yesterday I had to go up in the mezzanine where my studio is going to be, in Kaylee's video studio, and pick where I'm going to put the electrical boxes in the floor. So if that isn't hard, I don't know what is, because you know they're going to be in the wrong spot, right? Because you're in this big room, and when you're inside, it doesn't look that big at all. I'm like, this is kind of small, but once you get the stuff in there and the walls go up, it will be big, I guess. So it is super exciting to see it, and we'll be posting lots about it. Kaylee, we will probably go do a video someday there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So on Monday, they're going to start pouring floors up, and then down on Tuesday, So I think once they get that cement floor in there, then we can go and do a tour in there, because I don't want to be doing a live video and fall on my butt or something like that in the muck, because they are heating it and it's mucky, and I had to like climb up a ladder to go up to the second floor, and it was not very, I mean, it was okay for me because I don't mind it, but I can't see Kaylee hauling her camera up there or something like that. So we're super excited about the retreat house and new store and warehouse. We are working on pricing for the retreat, so look for that soon. We will be publishing that and starting to take reservations. I just haven't decided when to start taking them. And part of me thinks middle of July, like after the 4th of July weekend, might be the first time that we might have paying guests in there. So don't hold me to that, but I will be putting that out there. And as promised, those who have stayed at the retreat house in the past get first dibs at signing up for the new one. And we have some really fun things that we're going to include in our package for staying with us, like $50 gift card, swag bag, and nightly, like all the meals are going to be provided for you. Nightly snacks like ice cream sundae bar at night.
Ooh, can I stay there?
Right? Everybody knows I love ice cream, so hopefully we can't have that every night, because I'll be like visiting it every night. I'll be like there at 8:00 at night doing, the ice cream sundae bar. But yeah, so it's going to be a really cool, fun, over the top, elite retreat. It's not going to be like, you have to cook for yourself. I mean, I love those retreats too, but I really want to take care of you at this retreat. And I want you to have a blast, and I want you to feel like you're pampered and taken care of, and that you enjoy yourself. So it is going to be a process building the site at Primitive Gatherings, the grounds, all that kind of stuff. So maybe the people who stay there the first year will be like VIP retreat members or something like that. So we'll work something out with that too as well. So what is this, people? This is a pincushion. And my friend Kathy Decker is going to do a tutorial on how to make this next week. So we haven't decided if it's going to be live, if Kathy wants to do it live, or if we're going to do it taped. But she's got some fancy stitches around there. And she says it's pretty easy to do. So look for that coming up soon. And this is flannel with wool applique. Now, if you're in the wool box, I know you have a flannel charm of this. Just saying. I think it'll work too. All right. So thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you. I'm looking forward to doing the American Quilters Stitch Along. I can't wait to raise money. I can't wait to see all your blocks. I'm super excited. We're going to do giveaways. We're going to silent auction off maybe some of Lisa Bonjean's American quilts to raise some money. And who knows what we'll come up with. But I guarantee you it will be fun, and there will be lots of giveaways, because I believe the more you give away, the more comes back to you. So that's all I have for you today. Anything else, Kaylee?
Is there a deadline for signing up for this?
You don't have to sign up.
Right.
It's free. I'm just hoping that because out of the kindness of my heart, I'm going to give you this free pattern, that you're going to maybe buy my fabric to do it. And that maybe you're going to maybe, if you can't buy my fabric and you have the perfect red, white, and blue fabric that you want to use, that maybe you make a nice donation to the cause. So that's really all I'm looking for. There is no sign up for this at all. You're going to go to my blog each week to download the pattern. Kaylee and I will be doing the videos each week, or sometimes maybe twice a week, or sometimes 2 at a time, to get us caught up, because we are a little behind to getting those out. So I hope that answers all of your questions. And like I said, I really appreciate y'all. And I can't thank you enough for keeping everybody at Primitive Gatherings busy. And I will be posting in the Stitch From with Lisa group about what's shipping now. I have some pictures the girl sent me. you'll be super excited to see what's coming to your mailbox next. So make sure you like our video. Make sure you subscribe so you know when these lives are coming at you. And just know that you can always find us or ask us questions wherever you are. And let us know what you want to see. Kaylee and I have a nice list of things coming up. I am not going to be going anywhere anymore. It's getting too close for the build. They want too many questions, too many things to pick out. So I have to stay home and build that new building and create some more videos and work on the projects that we have for you. So thank you, everybody, and keep stitching every day.